Well, hello there, my gorgeous friends on the internet. I'm your host, Nishchay Verma, a web developer lead at our DSC campus. Developer Student Club is a Google developer program for university students to learn mobile and web development skills. The club are open to any student ranging from novice developers who are just starting to advanced developers who want to further their skills. The clubs are intended as a place for students to try out new ideas and collaborate to solve mobile and development program problems together. Since its establishment in February 2019, we have organized several workshops, ideation sessions, and built a lot of projects to help our fellow developers and the community. We, we aim we aim to help the community by building solutions that are easy to use and benefit everyone. Now the question comes into sense, right? What is OD to code? Just a normal hackathon? Nope. It's an experience, a learning for life. For new learning never goes to waste. OD to code is a collective effort of designers and developers to code, plan, and assemble the greatest combinations that tackle a great and engaging opportunity that will give tremendous insight on how to come with innovative ideas. There are topics provided on which you can think of building a website or an app, code to change the view, or different designs. It gives a view of self articulation and inventiveness through innovation. Building your first website ever, building a world class hack, build whatever you would like and want to, whether you are building for the first time or the 100th time. OL to Code is your place to grow your abilities and come up with something innovative and fun and marvelous. So, tonight's last webinar will be on the topic solving modern day problems by building tech solutions. So, question: were you guys ever stuck in a problem and turn a blind eye to it and thought of a way around it than actually solving that problem? Well, because I have. But now we have the tools and the knowledge to develop a solution for that problem. So we have our speaker, Shashank Mishra, who will shed more light on this topic. He's an experienced data engineer with a demonstrated history of working in the IT and services industry. He's skilled in big tech technologies and data visualization with a good grasp on Java or Python, C++, core data structure, and data visualization. He is a strong engineering professional with a Master of Computer Applications focused in computer science and engineering from Motilal Nehru NIT Allahabad. With that said, I'm going to hand over the virtual mic to Mr. Shashank.
Hey, thank you. Thanks, Nishay, for such a lovely introduction. And before starting the session, I would like to thank the entire team of DSC Pune for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to share my experience with the young minds out there. So, in next couple of minutes, I'll basically try my level best to guide you guys about the some modern challenges in the software industry or the challenges we used to face or we used to tackle while creating any kind of product software product. And apart from that, as a bonus, you can treat it like I have started uh, my journey in this big data domain. And it's been for me, it's been like more than 3 years I'm working is this big data domain. So I also was thinking to share my experience with you guys about the big data domains, basically. Like what are the career opportunities, what is the general tech stack or the terminologies that a guy should know if he or she is planning to take a move into this big data domain. So that's the topic I'm going to cover here. So I have created I'm really bad in creating presentations, so don't mind for that. But yep, at least I have created something for you. Let me share my screen. So I hope you guys can see my screen. So the topic, obviously, we all know, like solving modern day challenges by thinking outside the box and the getting started with big data. So the challenges, basically, I will talk about that. I mean, it can be helpful for you guys as well, because you are taking part in this Ode to Code hackathon as well, where you guys will be creating something, some you will guys will be creating some products to showcase your development skills. So whatever challenges I'll basically talk about, that would be the main thing we used to see in while developing any kind of product or solution in the IT industry. And it would be my recommendation or suggestion, you can think that when you will be creating your ideas, or you will be developing your thoughts in this hackathon, whatever product you are going to build, I would recommend to keep those challenges in your mind, because that you will face in the real world, and when you will be working on some large scale of products in the IT industry itself. So as a like introduction, the team given, I'm currently working as a data engineer at Amazon. Before I worked the McKinsey and Company, and India's one of the best fintech startup, that is Paytm. Did my MCA from NIT Allahabad, and this lockdown basically gave me a wonderful opportunity to give something back to the community. So I started a YouTube channel in the month of May when everybody was locked down, even I was too. So this is the channel I name e-learning bridge, where I used to call people from different backgrounds, because I know people need some motivation, and basically for like those guys who are not from very steamed colleges like IITs, NITs and all, they used to get, sometimes they used to get demotivated, because they are not able to crack, or they are not able to make into good companies, because of the lack of awareness, because of the like lack of good roadmap, good mentorship, right? So that kind of basically people I used to bring on my channel. Like mostly they are from the normal colleges, and because of their hard work and their dedication, they followed a good roadmap, they followed good strategy, tips and tricks, and they were able to make into the good tech giants like Fang and many other good product based companies. So that kind of interview experience I used to host on my channel. So definitely it would be helpful for you, and whenever you get that time or chance, just do visit the channel once. So let's move on to the main agenda, that is like modern day challenges in software development, and how you will be even like thinking out of the box. So to be very honest, I mean, when, because you guys are freshers, right? You guys are probably working on your internal projects, or probably working on some open source projects. But did you guys, let's say if somebody is working on some internal projects, so did you guys ever try to think on these topics, on these challenges? I'm pretty sure like 90% of people wouldn't have thought about these topics, like what is this. So because you are working on the project internally, it's like just for your solving your purpose, right? You haven't created anything which is basically is getting used by like millions and millions of users, right, at the same time. So that's why probably you won't be able to think about these challenges while developing any kind of product or software. But to be very honest, in the IT industry, when you will be working, or even when you will be interviewing in some of the good tech giant companies, definitely there will be a round like system design round, where the interviewer will basically try to judge your development skill and designing skill. And there definitely he or she will ask you questions about these challenges, like, okay, this is the design, this is the problem use case, come up with a good architecture or good system design. And you will start like based on your knowledge, whatever you have read in your curriculum about the core CS fundamentals, or let's say if you worked on some projects, then you will try your level best to use good components, like what MySQL you will be using, if you will be using any caching layer for the front end and back end, what you will be using, or how you will establish the communication between the front and back end, like sockets or any HTTP protocols, whatever kind of things you guys will be using. So that will be based on your past experience or what you have read. And but in the industry, when we talk about the good products, they are more than that. Like, you cannot use normal things. Obviously, the base or the foundation of everything is your basic, whatever you are reading. Obviously, those things will be used there. But while creating any product, this is the main challenges we use to handle. First, the first three are basically directly, you can say, around the product or product quality. Okay, but this is something clean code based. This is something the best practices. This comes from the best practices. And first one is, I'll talk about the scaling, what scaling means. So let's say, probably in this hackathon, some of you might be thinking to create a web application, right? Let's say you created you mimic any e-commerce website. So probably you will create it and that's it. And what will happen in the hackathon? Let's say probably like 100 or 200 people are using it, okay, just to test how it is working and all. So when you will be representing your idea to somebody, then definitely, if there will be questions that what kind of tech stack you have used in the backend, how did you architect your solution, whether your solution is horizontally scalable or not. So there are two types of scaling. One is vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. Vertical scaling is just nothing. It is basically just increasing the capacity of a single machine or a single instance. So that is vertical scaling. But horizontal scaling means, like, there are instances of same configuration. As like the load increases on your cluster or on your product, you are just adding more and more nodes in your cluster to just handle the increased amount of load. So that is horizontal scaling. So there, if I only talk about the backend development or the you can say the web development, okay, so there you can uh, think about this scaling factor. Let's say Amazon e-commerce. So there was a Diwali sale. Obviously, at that time, let's say that Diwali sale was for like the only for 2 days. And whenever that like sale will open, definitely you will see a very, very like high spike in the user requests. Okay, but let's say you created your product, but you forgot to handle this thing. You didn't even care about the scaling. So what will happen? As soon as the user requests like start getting increased, your website will get crashed. Okay, so there, whenever you build a solution, you need to think about this scaling factor, where your solution is scalable or not. So in the like web development, there are 2 3 factors. Let's say the load balancing, right? You need to use load balancers to handle large amount of user requests. And then, like, to make your web application fault tolerant, or you can say, mm, uh, you might be knowing about the microservices. So what microservices basically, it is uh, microservices means you have your backend, but it is not a kind of monolithic. Like, let's say in your website, there is a section for chat, live chat, there is a section for streaming, there is a section for newsletter and all. Let's say somehow there is any bug, or somehow the chat section got crashed. So if your architecture is monolithic, then definitely your entire site is not working. So that is also one thing where you need to think upon that. Every component should not be dependent on each other. Let's say somehow chat service is not working, other components should be functioning. So that's the term you need to handle here. And this is the challenge. And handling out of the box thinking is nothing. Out of the box thinking is just to handle these challenges. How smartly you are handling these challenges, that is your out of the box thinking, because that's how you become a good developer or a good engineer, when you are handling those challenges very very smartly. Like you are not waiting for that time when like user requests get increased on my platform, then probably I'll think about the scaling factor. No, whenever you are building any kind of product or system, you will keep that term in the very beginning of your mind, that I have to handle the scaling part as well. So that's the way you become a smart developer, or that's the way you think out of the box. Among the other, let's say you have a 10 or 8 teammates who are working on some projects, and they have no idea about the scaling terms and all, then you will be the one who think the out of the box. Next one is the optimization, and again it becomes a very very important factor, because let's say you are writing any backend APIs, okay, where you are querying the data from databases, and your queries are not very much optimized. And what will happen when you will hit the APIs, you like that will take much and much more time, like the response will take more time. So that is not the optimization. So you have to always think about the scope of optimization in your solution, so that like it becomes, that's how it becomes a quality product. It shouldn't be like you created a website and it is taking like 30 seconds to get loaded, right? So that's not the thing. You need to think about the optimization in terms of caching, responses, requests, right? So that is the one another modern day challenges we need to take care in the development part. Next is the high availability. So what high availability is, so obviously let's say the point I was talking about means somehow your site got crashed, then like there is no other way to like access your website. And let's say it's a very very critical website and all, okay, so then obviously you need to think about the backup plans, like how you will let's say your web application is basically deployed on a web server, okay, and it is running, people are using it, okay, but somehow what happens, that server goes down and you have no idea how you will route the request onto different thing, because you have deployed your solution or your website on a single machine and it was running there, you had no idea about it, okay. So that kind of backup plans you should like have in your mind, that like where and how efficiently I will deploy my website on other servers, how I will make the replica on like active passive mode, so that I could use, like let's say I have two web servers, let's say something happens and one web server goes down, then like quickly just what I need to do, I need to flip the connection, that's it, and my site is working and it is functioning. So that's how the high availability becomes the very very important factor, because let's say you are such kind of product which even cannot handle the downtime of 30 seconds or even 1 minute, then because you are dependent on your customers and your site is quite busy with user requests, okay, then in that case definitely for our in the IT industry, obviously the customer experience matters a lot, and we cannot like take a risk of losing our customers. So that's why it becomes very very important to make our site or product available 24 into 7. Next, the clean code base. So this is the thing very very important, because when you guys will be working on a project or product, obviously you won't be the only developer, there will be many others, and like many of you will be working on a same code base or different modules. So obviously clean code base becomes the very very important, because what happens sometimes when we start working on some products or start building products, we are in a hurry to finish the task, we are in a hurry to wrap up the things, and what happens basically, we used to forget about using the best coding practices like the variable naming conventions and the comment, which is like the very very important part. Because let's say at some later point of time you will be staffed in another project and someone new joins the your previous project and he had no idea like why you written this line of code, what it is doing. So that's how the clean code base matters a lot. Your code base should be modularized and it should be well commented, naming convention should be good, and the best practices you should follow while working on versioning systems like Git, SVN, something like that. So that is also the one modern day challenge. And these are the major one, guys. Like in my industry experience, these are the common things or the most challenging things we need to take care in a software development. And as a developer or as a like you say junior developer or a fresher developer, at the early stage, if you are building such solutions who are handling these modern day challenges, that means you are thinking out of the box. Because uh, that basically comes from good practices, or that shows basically how much a good developer you are. So that was all about the modern challenges. Now I will basically give you guys overview about the big data domain, the career opportunities in big data domain, because that is the most demanding field nowadays, and there are really really good opportunities if you are very very technically strong. Technically strong, if I say, that means you are uh, algorithmically very good, you are programmatically very good, you are good in your core CS fundamentals, right? So if you have that kind of technicality in your mind, then you have good profiles. And even say people who are not that much good in the programming, coding, DSAs and all, let's say they are very average, then still there are good opportunities and high like high pay scaling jobs in this domain. So that is the beauty of this domain. So I'll definitely guide you through with some of important job profiles and some generic tech stack you need to basically work on if you are probably thinking about this big data domain first. But before entering into the main part, as I said, this is the most demanding field, but we need to understand why. So like there is a beautiful blog written, and I just took those points from there, and it was like, oh, data is being compared with the oil, like why data is the new oil of the IT industry. So there is a very very beautiful comparison. I'll definitely explain it for you guys. So first point, you guys can see like data is essential resource that powers the information economy in much the way that oil has fueled the industrial economy. So we all know the about the oil. Like obviously industries are running just because of the oil, right? You have machineries and you need to power them. And how does it happen? Because of the oil. So in the similar fashion, we have information. Information is also very very important nowadays, guys, because you can think like how it is running the economy. Because every organization, every enterprise, every company is trying to take data driven decisions, right? What is data driven means you are just taking the historical data of like past 10 years, 20 years, right? And you are trying to see a pattern, so that you can take some data driven decisions for your business and you can improve yourself. So that's how like data is important for the information economy. Next is information can be extracted from data just as energy can be extracted from the oil. So here you can see oil is compared with data and information is compared with energy. So the way from the oil, we what we get energy obviously to power the machines. And similar fashion, information, this is the end product, or you can say this is the end result we used to get from the raw data. So that's why it's compared here. Next, data flows like oil, but we must drill down into data to extract value from it. Data promises a plethora of new uses, diagnosis of diseases, direction of traffic patterns, etc. Just as oil has produced useful plastics, petrochemicals, lubricants, gasolines, and home heating. So if you have idea, then obviously when we have a raw oil, what happens, we start filtering it, and that thing we obviously studied in our school times in the chemistry, right? Or let's say if I forgot any other subject. So what happens when you filter, or when you start purifying your raw oil, so in the different stages of filtration, you used to get different kind of products like plastics, different kind of gases, lubricants, gasolines, home heating products. Similar fashion, if you have raw data, right? If you have a, let's say example, you have a data for your e-commerce, so or for your healthcare, or you have a data of entire hospital. So what will happen basically when you start filtering it, or when you start implementing different logics or filtration logics, you will get different kind of informations, right? Let's say because you have data which can be even used to see, or let's say the healthcare data of the patients data, like diagnosis of diseases. In the similar fashion, the you have data for the traffic lighting and all, you that direction of traffic patterns, right? So this is the thing. Next one, the life cycle of oil is defined by the process: extraction, refining, distribution. The life cycle of data is defined by relationships with other data, with context, and with itself via feedback loops. So we all know, I mean, the oil, how we get the basically the end product, and what is, you can say, the common steps in the oil purification. So first would be extraction, that means the raw oil. Next is refining. Refining means you are processing it, and the distribution means you are distributing the end products to different vendors. So in the similar fashion, these three steps are common in the data domain, like ETL processing: extraction, transformation, and load. Okay, so extraction obviously means pulling data from different sources. Transformation means applying business logic to get the end result, and load means loading the transformed data into different destinations. Next and the last is like traditional oil powered the transportation era, and in the similar fashion, data has empowered the emerging transportation era. So we all know nowadays, we guys know about the artificial intelligence, machine learning, where we are training the machines to do the human work, or the things which can like even replace the humans. For the example, driverless cars, hyperloops, and all. So that's why even like obviously we know this thing, how this traditional transportation era worked when like oil was discovered, right? So in the similar fashion, the data is helping or powering the emerging transportation options. So next, basically, I'll talk about the career opportunities. So like first, I earlier I gave this one, like the technical on the partial technical. Technical means again, if you are good with data structures, algorithm, programming, and all, then definitely you can go for these profiles if you love it. And then partial technical, then I was talking about if you are average with those technical skills, then you can look forward for these profiles. So the data engineers, so and the data scientists, MLEs, so they used to like, I'll in the next slide I will definitely cover a difference between these profiles, but as a like a very high level of you can say categorization, then you this is these three are the technical sides, and these three are the partial technical side, because these guys are someone who will work on the large scale of data, or the you can say these guys will be working on scalable data pipelines. Guys will be working on some transformations. Data science will be working on creating mathematical models on top of transform data. So they have to be good with the programming and all. And here they, in this category, basically these guys are meant to use the frameworks and data exploration techniques, creating like batch and real-time dashboards. All right. So that's why it's like a partial kind of technical domain. So here the data analyst, business analyst, BI engineers, and ETL developer. In the next two slide, I have like covered the difference between the job profile, and you guys will be more clear about these profiles, like why this is in partial technical and why this is in the main technical part. So this one, I guess, the most confusing term nowadays, that as a being a fresher, like I used to get lots of queries on the LinkedIn or this Instagram, that a student used to ask me that they are thinking about career in data scientist, but what they used to tell me that they are good in programming, they have a good strong DSA skills, they know about backend development, they know about the cloud services and all. So I like used to tell them that I guess you have probably not explored the roles and responsibilities of the data scientist profile. So that's why I'm here. I used to clear this the difference between these profiles, so that you guys can understand what a data engineer actually do in the industry, and what a data scientist and what a MLE does there. So data engineers basically, the role and responsibility of data engineers is working on some scalable data pipelines. So, and they are also the frontliners in any organization. If they are working on some big data solutions, they are the frontliners. So why they are the frontliners? So I'll take an example of, let's say, Amazon e-commerce. So obviously there will be customers who are buying products and all, and obviously that data, let's say, will be stored, like the daily data which is getting produced. You have it in different sources. Let's say MySQL, it could be any distributed file system like HDFS and AWS S3. It could be any NoSQL database, it could be Elasticsearch, anything. Okay, your data could be there. And let's say in an organization there is a payments team, a different team which used to basically utilize the you can say aggregated or aggregated results of the payments data. Okay, so what will happen in an organization? That business team will come to us that, hey, data engineer, actually we are looking for this transform data on the payment data data set, and these are the some data sets for the payment, like which are located on the MySQL servers and all. So, and these are the business logics which we want you to perform on the data. So what a data engineer will do, that the data engineer will start writing those pipelines. Pipelines is nothing, you will pick something from sources, you will run the your transformation on the fly. Transformations means the business logics which the business team has given, we will code it, we will code those transformations, right? And then whatever the transform data we have, we will simply dump it into the downstream systems. Okay, so as a data engineer, this is the major role and responsibility of us. And that's what I said, scalable. Again, I talked about the scalable data pipelines. That means we know at the source side, data size is growing very fast on daily basis, from GBs to terabytes to petabytes. So your pipeline should be like that. It is scalable, means if any point of time data goes from TB to petabyte, your pipeline shouldn't crash. Your pipeline shouldn't crash. It should keep on working. Okay, and if I talk about another term, the optimization. So when you will be implementing those business logic which were given by the business teams, let's say they gave us any filtration condition that if you, for the end result, if I need 4 data sets of payments, and like failed payments, success payments, and pending payments, let's say three data sets were there, and as an end result we need to deliver them the aggregated data for each customer, like how many payments transaction were success, pending, and cancelled, something like that, the end result they want. So what we will be doing as a transformation, we will be joining these data sets together, will be doing the aggregations, or if there is any kind of a customized filtration conditions, we will be implementing those as well. So that's how, like that's why I was saying these 3 profiles are in the technical side. I mean, technical means you have to code the things. That means you have to be programmatically very good. You have to be algorithmically very good, so that you could code the things. Okay. So I hope this is the main role and responsibility of a data engineer. Next is data scientist. So data scientists are basically someone who are somehow they are good with mathematics, because they are the one who will be creating some good models, and those models are nothing basically your the mathematical representation of something, which is you're classifying your data and categorizing the data, and based upon that the training and test data, we are trying to write a good fit model which is solving our purpose. So those data scientists are basically, they used to work on the downstream system, and as I said, in the downstream systems, data engineers will put the transform data. So data scientists will be working on the smaller chunks of data, like they will pick some samples which is will be like training and test data, and whatever mathematical logic they will be writing, they will train their model and try to tune the values, so that that mathematical equation or model is good fit for the solution. And it could be anything like predictive model, any linear regression model, something like that. So that's how the role and responsibility of a data scientist means they are working on the downstream systems. And first I talked about the data engineer, what was the role. So data scientists are not working on the very large scale of data. They just picking some samples and test and writing their mathematical things. And again, they are not concerned about the transformation part, how data is coming, like how it is being handled in the pipeline and all. They are not concerned about it, and they are nothing to do with that. Next come the machine learning engineer. So we know, like the data engineers created the transform data. Data scientists, what they did, they used the samples and created their mathematical model. Now who will be there to implement this mathematical model on the entire transform data, so that we could, let's say if we were building our recommendation system, so that it is working fine. Okay. So that is the point here. So here comes the machine learning engineers in picture. So you can treat them as an all-rounder. They have the knowledge about the skill sets of data engineer as well, like how data is being transformed, what transformation logics were implemented in the pipeline. And next means how data scientists written those mathematical equations and those models. So what machine learning engineer will be doing, he will implement that model or integrate that model with the downstream transform data. So that's why, guys, here it is important to know for us that the difference between these profiles, like data science engineers, data scientists, machine learning engineers. So that was the difference. I hope now it's clear. And whenever, if somebody is, probably I used to recommend everybody that if you are planning to take a move, or you are planning to have a good future in this data domain, then what you need to do, basically first you need to do some research. You need to understand what is like looking more interesting to you. If you are a person who is mathematically good, if data science domain is fascinating you more, then you should look forward for that. Let's say if you are someone who loves coding, who loves things, and who loves programming part, who loves to play with the backend part, APIs and all, and the NoSQL databases and cloud services, then data engineer could be the possible opportunity for you. So that's how knowing the difference becomes very, very important here. Next, I will talk about this part. Like most of the time people used to ask me this question: is coding important for a career into big data? So I hope after those differences and whatever I talked about the career opportunities, so yep, that's how, like, somehow some it is important, because as I said, in the technical part, the data engineering profile, or the you can say the data scientist profile or machine learning engineering profile, there you will be coding something, you will be like implementing those business logics in terms of the like some language, or you will be like to implement those business logic, you will be coding these things, you will be writing codes, right? So that's how the understanding of data structures and programming becomes important for that technical side. And why I'm saying it is like a good to have, or even if you're average with it, then definitely that partial technical job profiles can work for you, like where you have to like showcase your programming skills a very less number of times, because you will be working closely on the frameworks where you do not need to write the customized things. But for a data engineers and other profiles, they had to write some customized things, and that is only possible if we are good with programming and algorithms data structures. Next, this is important. I mean, and I guess these keywords or these things, or you can say important terminologies, will clarify your doubts, like what skill sets you should have for that partial technical job profiles, and what skills you should have for the main technical profiles. So first is programming, as I said. Uh, like if you are coding in C and C++, and probably planning to take a move into this any data domain profile, then I guess you need to change your plan, because Python, Java and Scala will be the one which you will be using to code the things in the big data domain. So this is the must to have skill set for the technical profile. And for the partial one, as I said, it is a good to have. Good to have means if you are good, it will be a extra plus for you when you will be giving the interviews, or when you will be applying for the jobs. So it's a good to have. Next one is the SQL scripting. It is the important for both of the like technical side and the partial technical sides. But I would say it is actually must to have for the partial technical job profiles, and it is good to have for the technical profiles. So why SQL scripting? Because you have data. Most of the time it will be in some tabular form, or will be stored in any SQL and NoSQL databases. So obviously you need to explore the data. Let's say before creating anything, before writing any transformation in the form of code, you would like to see the data, like what columns are there, how many null records are there, what is the total value of, let's say, revenue column. Okay, so these kind of things means initial exploration of data you will be doing, obviously, like when you will be working on these big data solutions. So it becomes very, very important. And for why it is a must to have, because as I said, most of the time those guys who are in the partial technical domain or the job profiles, so they closely work for creating the real-time dashboards, or the batch dashboards. And how they are basically created, basically they are built on the transform data, and their transform data will be in any of the uh, SQL and NoSQL database. Next is big data ecosystem. Obviously, this is again important for both technical and the partial technical job profiles, because you will be working on the data domain. So obviously it becomes important to know about the big data ecosystem, like how Hadoop works, how distributed computation work, how distributed storage works, how other frameworks exist there, which built on top of Hadoop, like Hive is there, Pig is there. Then if we talk about fast computation processing engines like Spark, which is much faster than Hadoop and also capable of doing real-time data processing. Next one, the real-time data processing, like obviously even that is the term, even real time, we all know, you even some of you might be working on the web applications who are working on real time data, right? And or probably some of you might be working on such kind of projects, let's say Twitter sentiment analysis, fraud detection. So what will happen there, you will be processing the data in real time, like every 10 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever data you have in the source, you are pulling it, you are performing the transformation and producing the results. So that's the best example is Twitter hashtags. So like on the Twitter, you used to see like top 10 popular hashtags. So how they used to get it, how they used to process is definitely like every in the real time, they on their platform, they are doing that analysis, sentiment analysis, and trying to get those popular hashtags. Okay, so again, to have an understanding of real-time data processing, it becomes very important. And this one is basically very much important for the technical profiles, means the Ds, DS, and MLEs, because they will be working on these kind of pipelines. But for the partial ones, it is like again good to have. It's not mandatory for them that they should know how real time they in the backend, like how they need to process the data in real time, right? So again, the few popular frameworks like Kafka, AWS Kinesis. Next one is the data warehousing. So this one is important for both, because when you will be working on the data, big data projects or data solutions, then obviously you should know how its data warehouse look like. Let's say I'm working on a banking project, then obviously I should know how its database will look like, how tables will be related or with each other, with like what are the primary keys, how this one particular table is related with this table, like what is the mapping, one to one, many to one. This is what this is basically knowing about the data warehousing. And you should know how to design it, basically what will be your dimension tables, what will be your fact tables, what is like OLAP, what is OLTP, what is star schema, what is a snowflake schema. So this is the common terminologies and things you need to know in the data warehousing part. So this one is important for both, as I said. Next one, the data visualization tool. This is again very important for the partial technical job profiles like the data analyst, business analyst, BI, and ETL developers, because they are the one who will be serving the end users, because end users are only concerned about the final results, the transform data. And the job of the data analyst, business analyst, and BI and ETL developers, to whatever data they had, or they will basically put it on some dashboards, because it is human tendency that, let's say I give you an Excel sheet of, let's say, 10 million of records, and I ask you, so key that can you find some patterns out of it? Obviously it would be difficult. Why? Because you have no idea like how things are aggregated, what is the final sum, what is the like aggregated value of sales data in for the any time series data. So that's how visualization help us, because human tendency is that they can easily understand the patterns if it is visualized. Okay, in terms of the bar charts, pie charts, or line charts. So that's why data visualization becomes very important, and there are very popular tools like Tableau and Power BI, and it is a must to have skill set for the partial technical job profiles, and it's a good to have for the technical ones. Next, the ETL frameworks. This is again the important one for the partial technical job profiles, for the like, and mostly for the BI engineers and the ETL developers, because as I said, ETL frameworks are nothing. They you do not have any liberty to write the thing in a customized way. You will be having some limited kind of transformations available, and you will be having the connectors to read data from different sources and then put it into the destinations. So that's why, because those guys are not supposed to be very much good with the programming side, algorithmic data structures and all. So that's how they can use the inbuilt frameworks, which can make their life easy. Next one is the transactional and NoSQL databases. This is important for both ones. We all know transactional databases like MySQL and all. Like they can only handle they can only handle some limited amount of data. We cannot scale them somehow, right? But the beauty of NoSQL databases is that they are only meant to handle the data in distributed fashion. And again, the large volume of data like petabytes, hexabytes, and something like that, right? And that's why it becomes very important for us to know about the transactional databases like MySQL, Postgre, MariaDB, and the NoSQL databases like MongoDB, Elasticsearch, Redshift, DynamoDB, HBase, and many more. Next and the last is cloud services. So guys, this is again important for to both the ones. I mean, the technical side and the partial technical side, because obviously when you will be working in the organization, whatever solutions you will build, that will be definitely on the cloud, because enterprise are not entertaining the fact that they will be using on premises things anymore, because there are some big challenges to have the things on premises, like the cost. Because every time, let's say your business is growing and you need to like scale your system, what you will be doing, you will be like purchasing high cost machines. You will connect them in your cluster, and there will be admin who will be monitoring the things and doing this maintenance part. So again, the cost factor, the maintenance part, and the security stuff. So that were the big challenges with the on-premises system. And we all know everything is on the cloud now. Every good cloud provider like AWS, Azure, GCP are providing good services which are being used in the big data solutions. So that's how it becomes very important to have a good understanding of cloud. It's up to you that what cloud provider you want to start with. It could be GCP, it could be AWS, it could be Azure. Whatever you start with, you should have a good understanding of its at least the basics of the cloud services, like the serverless cloud services, and any cloud services which is being used as a distributed file system. For an example, AWS S3, and about the on-demand servers like EC2 instances. And then basically, and the beauty of this cloud part, obviously the cost is quite low, and the security part is like very strong. And third one is the auto scaling stuff. Like, we, let's say a next day you can see a very high spike on your solution. So you can set this property auto scaling, and if like earlier you were handling 10,000 of requests, now when you will turn on the auto scaling option, what will happen? Your system will automatically scale. Like, you have nothing to do with it. You do not need to handle anything manually, or you need to take care anything. So that's the beauty of using the cloud services and all. So yep, that's it from my side, guys, for the presentation part. And if you have any queries, definitely you can ask me your doubts in the comment section. I'll definitely love to answer them. And even after this session, in future, if you have any doubts and queries, you can follow my channel. You can follow me on LinkedIn and Instagram, and you can ping me anytime for your doubts. I'll definitely try to help you out. Yep, guys. So now I'm open for your questions.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Shashank, for sharing all this information with us. I mean, we as developers would really take upon that advice because when I was in the second year, I remember I used to write massive code and making small projects and mainly my own personal projects, not in a group. Because when
Yeah,
you make personal projects, you are like, okay, just write code randomly here and there and
correct.
not make any proper names and not variable names. So later in the third year, I realized the importance of using a clean code, of flexibility. These advice that you give is really helpful for first and second years.
Yeah, guys. So it's my right recommendation. These best practices will give you a good plus even when you will be in your interviews. And let's say somebody, and that really matters when you are in your internships, because your managers, your teammates will carefully monitor you, like how a good developer you are, whether you are following the best practices, whether you are thinking about the scaling, optimization, high availability, whether you are designing your solution with that perspective or not, you are writing clean code bases or not. So that will definitely help you guys. Even that's what I said. If for your hackathon, this code to code, whatever solutions you will be building, please think about these things, because it can add more numbers in your account.
Yeah, sure. So we have one question in the comment
Yeah.
section. Hitesh Shukwani has asked, how is Hadoop related to big data?
Okay, so if you remember, I talked about two things like distributed computation and distributed storage. Okay, so obviously, let's say you have petabyte of data. Okay, so I'll just give you a very good example. Let's say if you are writing a code, uh, anybody gave you a problem solution that you have an array of, let's say, 10 to the power 6 size. What you will be doing, you will simply write a C++ code or anything, or you will provide the input. So here what is happening, you have code and you are sending your data to your code. Okay, and it is executing for you in your single machine. But that is not the process with the large amount of data, right? You cannot handle it in a single machine. So for that, these two terminologies came into the picture. The first article, obviously written by the Google itself, they came up with this idea, the distributed computation and storage. I mean, let's say you have a petabyte of data. What you will be doing, you will be breaking it into smaller chunks, and you will be having a large cluster. And the cluster is nothing, again, the commodity hardware, which will be having some sort of CPU, RAM, and execution power. So your petabyte of file, what it happen, like it will be break down into smaller files. Let's say 100 MB, 128 EB, MB, or 64 MB, right? So these are the blocks. So those blocks will be written into these commodity hardware. So now your data is distributed, you handle the data part. Okay, uh, now the comes the major part, the computation, how you will compute the things, because you have the petabyte of data, you cannot compute it on a single machine. So what you will be doing now, you will be sending your code to the machine, right? Earlier, what when I take in the example of arrays, what you are doing, you had your code in your single machine and you were bringing the data, the array, and you were processing it. Now what you are doing, you have distributed data on different nodes, and you are sending your code to different nodes, and every individual node will do its own computation, and at then what you will do, you will aggregate it together and display the final output. So that's how the distributed computation and storage works together. But earlier these two were different things, and obviously you would have needed a good framework which is providing you all these things together, and that was the framework Apache Hadoop. So the Hadoop is basically used for the distributed computation and your distributed storage.
Okay, so there's another question from Devan Shawat. He's asking, I'm new to building solutions. How can I solve modern day problems if I'm just a beginner and have just started?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and my answer is basically practice. This obviously comes from the practice, and they nowadays, actually earlier there were not so many things available on the internet. I mean, the good blogs or good channels, which were like good developers were talking about the system designing part, the optimization part, scaling and all. But now you have that thing on the YouTube. If I take an example of Gaurav Sen, he's one of the best. I mean, if you want to learn system designing, how to use these things, scaling, optimization, high availability, and many more things related to the modern challenges, then you should definitely watch Gaurav Sen's videos on internet, right? So again, as a beginner, obviously sometimes it will be very very hard to think about those modern day challenges, because you do not have an industry exposure where you are working on such products who are handling millions user requests. So you won't be able to think about that. But definitely when you are building your solution, try to host it somewhere, try to write some automated scripts which are like uh, you can say sending continuously 1,000, 10,000, 20, 50,000 requests to your website to test the load, so that you can understand as soon as the you can say user request increases on your platform, how your site is performing, whether it is capable of doing the function smoothly or not, whether it is working fine or not. So that's how you can basically test these things. These things comes from your like best practices or your own intuition. Whenever you are building a product, think from the user's perspective as well. Let's say like what will happen if something breaks down, and think from the developer perspective as well, like what all possible edge cases you can cover. And if you are trying to think around those corner cases or edge cases, then definitely you will be able to tackle these modern challenges very very smoothly. But yeah, you need to keep on thinking. You need to that's how like you can watch those tutorials I talked about. You need to read about the case studies of large like user centric platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime, Amazon e-commerce, any social media platform. They are user centric. On daily basis they are handling millions of user requests, right? So read their case studies, and because they have beautifully documented everything, like what all challenges did they face while building this product, and it will definitely help you to document your thing and creating your product as well.
Okay, so there's another question from Siv Raj Shinha. Your work experience in Amazon till now.
It's fabulous. I mean, so obviously it was my dream company, and I was rejected by Amazon 2 times. So obviously cracking it in the third attempt and to be there, obviously, since like it was my dream company. So whenever dream come true, like nothing could be more fascinating than that. So I'm enjoying my life there. I am working on good products. So that is the beauty of working in a product based company, and the like world's most customer centric company. That's why we used to follow like popular leadership principles. If some of you might have gone through with the interview experiences, we used to talk about the leadership principles. So that kind of culture we follow here. And it's always like in Amazon, every day it's a day one. The kind of enthusiasm we had on the day of joining, with the same enthusiasm we used to work on the daily basis on different projects and different tasks. So so far it's really really awesome.
Okay, that's amazing. So there's another question from Hitesh. He's asking,
Yeah.
how should I start learning big data from scratch?
Yep. So Hitesh, I already like listed down what all things you should know. I'll even share this PPT with the team. They could forward you. So those were the main things actually you need to cover. But obviously the base was that distributed computation and distributed storage. First, you need to understand why these big data solution came into picture. Then I talked about few things. If you are targeting the main big data profile, I'll take an example of data engineering. So that I talked, it is more towards the technical part, like you have to be good with programming, you have to be good with DSA, right? This is your first part. Next, you should know about the big data ecosystems. Start with Hadoop is the base. Then try to explore the frameworks which were built on top of Hadoop, like Hive, Apache Pig. Okay, and then move your direction toward the real-time processing and the frameworks which were being used to process the data in real time, like Apache Spark, Apache Nifi. Okay, and there would be any other as well. And next, I talked about few things like the data warehousing, and you have to be very good with the transactional and NoSQL databases, and the last and the important one, the cloud services. So that would be a good roadmap to start with this, actually, the big data domain.
Okay, so this was it for the questionnaire. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us tonight. It was great to have you with us, Mr. Shashank. It was really a great learning experience for our viewers, our community members, and mainly for our hackathon participants. Please like, share, and comment and subscribe to our channel. Press that bell icon to be notified for future updates. Well, this
Thank you,
was
guys. Thank you so much for having me here. It was a pleasure to talk to you guys, and I hope whatever experience I have shared, it would have helped you. So, in case if you have any like future queries, definitely feel free to ping me on LinkedIn or Instagram.
sure. So this was it from our side. See you guys next